Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning. 15 minutes to change your life. Kuntres, Heichaltzu. Good morning, everybody. So we just we're discussing the ability that in certain type of division, it's not I guess the right word, but division brings unity. And we're going to discuss it more, the difference between, let's say, chochmah and binah. That's what we're going to discuss today. So let's see, Perek Zayin, page 51 at the top. In the previous chapter, the Rebbe Rashab developed the concept that division can lead to a more inclusive unity. The expression of the different and opposite natures of the various entities can enable them to come together, not only by transcending their individual identities, but by seeing those identities as complementing each other. Yeah, so those differences can actually complement each other. In the present chapter, like the fire and the water, we talked about how they're different, but really they have within the fire there's water, within the water there's fire. In the present chapter, he develops the theme by explaining the interrelationship between the power of chochmah and binah, how they are different in nature yet operate in synergy. So chochmah and binah are a perfect example of this because they're both intellect, but chochmah's style of using the faculty of your intellect versus binah is very different. And that's what we're going to discuss. So v'hinei kein hu b'heichaltzu sheb'chochmah. So it is with the dividing of chochmah. Shehu ma she'oiseh heichaltzu b'chol davar muskal, that you divide everything down into its details. Sheb'tchilas heichaltzu who kinekuda klalis v'leishum heichaltzu pratim. Because in the beginning of chochmah, this flash of the idea, like we talked about before, and at that point it's just a little point, so you don't have it all formulated. It's not divided into different details. And therefore, at that level, this idea is opposite to the other idea. Because we're talking about at the level of chochmah, you have an idea that you figure out or you think about. You don't fully understand. It's very small by you. It's like a small point of the idea, but that idea is not like, it can't come together within another idea because they're two different ideas at that point. Because it seems totally opposite. It's like externally, when you look at a ultra-Orthodox Jew and a Jew that is totally secular, that doesn't believe in anything, they seemingly externally look very distant. But through the power of chochmah in the intellect, specifically binah, so what happens is you take that idea and you divide it into little details to really unpack the idea, which is what binah does. To the extent that even you try to, when you're unpacking it and trying to bring it down to details, you even bring it down to opposite details. As we explained before, like we said before, because when in atzmos has everything, so therefore, in essence, what you have in this idea, you also have the opposite idea. So with every intellectual idea, they have some details that are totally opposite. And he's going to discuss it soon. He's going to give an example. And then, therefore, when you divide the idea well and into its details, so each part will inevitably express itself. And it'll be very different. But everything has its reasoning, everything has its logic. And even though that will logically, in this case will be X, and in this case will be Y, but it's all coming from the same logic and it works, even the outcome is different. And he's going to give an example soon. But this one reason demands the opposite. And he explains, like in regards to the mabul. By the mabul, what happens? Hashem, why did he bring the mabul? He said, every impulse of man's heart is only evil at all the time. Being all the people at that time were behaving badly and just evilly. So Hashem said it needs a mabul. And then the same reason, for that same reason, is Hashem said he's never going to bring a second mabul. Why doesn't he? What does Hashem say? Why won't bring a second mabul? For the impulse of man's heart is evil from his youth. The one hand was saying, why is the mabul coming? Because of the evil people. And therefore, because of the evil people, we're not going to bring another mabul. So you see, the same logic brings out two opposites. On one hand, it brings out a mabul. On the other hand, it brings out to not be a mabul. And so we're saying that the same logic that in itself is going to be one thing, but when you unpack it, it can even bring two opposite things like this. So she'az einam menagdim zelazah. So therefore, they're not really contradicting each other. They really help each other. Meaning, on the one hand, like we said before at the mabul, on the one hand, we have this issue of the evil impulses, and therefore we're getting stuck under these things. And that's why we should need divine mercy. See, I'll read it. For like this example, we're talking about the mabul. The fact that man is constantly being swayed by his evil impulses is a cause for divine retribution, because we're not behaving properly. So that's why Hashem should punish us. But on the other hand, the challenge that we go because of these of the Yetzer Hara, it causes that we should have divine mercy. So both these responses, being judged and also have Hashem being merciful, are both appropriate, even though this is the same issue and two different answers. Each one plays a complementary role in the manner in which God relates to man, and they're both needed. So on one hand, it's the same issue. We're not behaving the way we should, and there's two answers. One answer is we should get exact punishment, which is true if you're not behaving like a man. On the other hand, also Hashem should be nice to us because of this thing. So we see that the same idea can bring out two opposite things. And this pass, and therefore, when you can think about things to that extent and understand it that well, you can have these both ideas. You can understand it very well. It becomes very clear and very pure. You really understand it. It's like when you learn something and you can't, the definition of binah is when you take an idea that you've learned and you can use different examples. To the extent you can even use opposite examples, I was saying here. Chochmah is you can repeat what you just heard. So you can say it. Binah is you understand it well enough that you can apply it in different situations. And how would it work in this case? And how would it work in that case? And how would it work in the opposite case? And you'll be able to apply it to all these things. And you grasp the idea from all angles, from all sides. And therefore, automatically, you can connect stuff with another idea. Meaning, it's like asking questions. Well, he'll explain it in a second. That they're not contradictory. Even though the ideas could be different, but it doesn't go against. It's all part of this synthesis. And explains it's like the idea of the Gemara Bavli and Gemara Yerushalmi. So the Gemara Bavli was the Gemara that's from Bavel, and Yerushalmi is from Eretz Yisrael. It wasn't actually in Yerushalayim. I think it was in Yavna. But the point is that if you ever look or you try to learn the Gemara Yerushalmi, it's not as learnt as the Bavli. Yerushalmi is very straight and concise, and it's just halachas, it's sefer halachas. The Bavli, which is what most people learn and how we pass on halachas, if there's a contradiction between the two, is interesting. The Bavli is full of arguments. Nothing is clear, nothing is straightforward. The Yerushalmi, it's all straightforward. It's just, this is halacha. What's the question? This is halacha. What's the question? Halacha. It's very straightforward. Whereas the Bavli, it's much bigger, and it's constantly questions and arguments and then back and forth. But halachically, how do we make a decision based on the Bavli, not the Yerushalmi? If they have a contradiction, we go into the Bavli. Why? So the answer is, and it's a beautiful idea. It's like I heard once someone said, the beauty of the Gemara or Judaism is that we don't suppress dissenting opinions. We write them down. Why not? Like, it doesn't, like, seemingly the Gemara should just say there's an argument. This is the halacha. There's this and why does it bring down all the opinions, even then the opinion that we don't follow? What's the point? Because this is what we're saying here, that we need that debate, that discussion to bring out the truth. And that's why the halacha always follows the Bavli when it comes to contradiction, because we have the understanding, which is much more understood. You could sort of say the Yerushalmi is like chochmah and the Bavli is like binah. It's understood. It's you unpacked it. You really, and that's why we do the halachically that way, because we have what to work with. That's what he's saying. And it's not bringing it, and we see here, it's not bringing it it's not a negative that there's these discussions. That brings it to more understood and more connection, and we can understand it better. And that's the whole point. A lot of the time the Gemara will discuss is try to really nuance it and figure out what's the cloud, what's the rules, and how we understand this, and the more and unpack it. And the ability that we can take an idea and really divide it into all these different parts. We can even unite together different things, opposites. This is from the bittul, with the meaning, and I was going to explain. I explained previously the objective which characterizes intellect as a whole can be identified as bittul, for it requires a person to step beyond his own subjectivity and see the ideas as it is. In particular, this is true of the attribute of chochmah, which enables a person to step beyond his own conceptual framework and become one with a new idea. But the reason why this works is because we have a state of bittul. If I'm not bittul, then I'm not a keli. I don't have the ability to learn. I'm not listening. I'm just arguing my opinion. Whereas, like we see in the Gemara, and like we're saying here, the ability to take different ideas and understand them well is when you come with an open mind. It doesn't mean you say I'm open to anything and then I'm just gonna whatever goes. And if you told me that I shouldn't follow Judaism, then that's what it is. I'm open. It doesn't mean that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about bittul is I know Torah mitzvahs is true and God is true. Let me understand this, and let me hear what this person is saying. Truly understand. When you have people have discussion, they don't have discussion, they have arguments. I want you to understand my opinion, and you want me to understand your opinion. But we can come and when we discuss it, it can be a discussion that I can listen to your opinion, understand your opinion, and try to understand where you're coming from, which will help me understand my opinion better. Or I cannot. And I think a lot, let's say today in society, unfortunately, with technology, what has happened, it's come that people don't know how to have this discussion, don't understand this discussion. So they formulate opinions based on what they're seeing or being shown. And that's really one-sided. And they think the other side is crazy. The other side is mental and all crazy, I don't know what they're doing, and they're the worst in the world. But they can't even have a discussion. Because they've and the problem is that's not the bittul. The bittul is you can't have a discussion. Let's discuss this idea. I think this is how the world should be run, or whatever it is. And let me hear your opinion. And let's discuss. Let's sort of hash it out. And that's really what we're meant to be doing. And of course, if it goes against Torah, so then it's a no-brainer. But it doesn't mean you can't listen to the opinion. You can say, I hear where you're coming from, I can understand you. And this is a very important tool in life to understand where people are coming from. And and when you do that, everything comes together. Just to finish off, to be continued tomorrow. Just to finish off a beautiful story that there was a chassid, that there's a famous song that in Lubavitch we sing. Forgot what it is now. Let me see on my phone. And basically, it was a chassid, the guy from Russia, that he had made it, and he had made this song, and he brought it some 70, and they would sing it. Let me find it here. It's not having my phone. Let me just 1 second. Let me get my siddur quickly. We say it when we bring out the Torah. Anna, there it goes. Anna Avda the Kuchabrichu. So there was a chassid, a famous song, a beautiful song that we are servants of Hashem. And this chassid brought it to 770, and they would sing it. Unfortunately, in his later years, he became, I think I forgot what it's called, and he forget things. They ended up sending him to an old age home, and he lived there, and he partially forgot things, he didn't remember. And Znavach came Erev Yom Kippur, and they was giving out lekach, and people acknowledge him. You know what? Just send it 770. Be by the Rebbe. Be beautiful. And what he did was, so they brought him, he sent from the Rebbe, and this guy, he's sort of out of it. Like he doesn't, he's sort of in a different world. And he comes from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe sees him, and the Rebbe chaps, tries to give him some cake. The poor guy can't get the cake. And the Rebbe sees what's going on, and the Rebbe starts singing to him. He's on, no, Avda the Kucha Brechu. And the guy like sort of wakes up. And his big smile on his face. And the Rebbe then gives him some cake. He took the cake, and they gave him all these brachas, and Pashat uplifted the guy. What did the Rebbe do? The Rebbe sang his song. The Rebbe connected with him. And this is the ability when you have the bittul. The Rebbe sees a guy. The Rebbe has 1,000 people coming by quickly. Sees a guy. He picks up in a second. Why? Because he has this bittul. He's looking at this guy and he sees, how can I help him? And he says, sing his song, and he sees where he's at. And this is a very important lesson for us. When we're learning here, have the ability to understand where someone else is coming from. And if you do that, everything will be much better. To be continued tomorrow.